Hey guys, today we're going to do lesson 5.3 on subject complements. It's page 114 and 115 in the Voyages book. Some descriptive adjectives come after a being verb. They are called subject complements. An adjective used as a subject complement tells more about the subject of the sentence. Then, underneath that, it reminds you of what those being verbs are. So is, are, was, and were are examples of being verbs. So in this first sentence, it says the ocean is salty. I'm going to change this to a different color because I've been highlighting all the adjectives in blue. So in this sentence, it says the ocean is salty. So right there is, which is a being verb. And then after the being verb is the word salty. So it's telling us about the noun ocean. So you're still describing a noun. It doesn't change what an adjective describes. The adjective's still describing the word ocean, not the verb, which is. But it comes after instead of before like it did in the previous two lessons that we've learned, where it comes usually right before the noun. Now it's coming after the verb. So the second example, fish are scaly. So are is right there. There's your being verb. And then we have fish beforehand, which is the noun, right? Person, place, or thing. And then it tells us that scaly is describing fish. So underneath that, they explain what I just said. In the first sentence, salty is the subject complement. It follows the being verb is. Salty tells about the subject ocean. In the second sentence, scaly is the subject complement. It follows the being verb are. Scaly tells more about the subject fish. Which sentence has a subject complement? Brown trout live in lakes. The sunfish were colorful. Guppies eat plants. If you look through the sentences, if you find one that has a being verb in it, then that's going to be the one with the complement. So let's look for nouns first. So brown trout is a noun. Live in lakes. There's no being verb in there, so the adjective in this sentence is brown trout, which means it's not a subject complement because the adjective comes before the noun. The sunfish were colorful, so the noun's right there, and then there's a being verb right here. So then that means that the adjective is going to be at the end of the sentence, which makes that one have a subject complement. So B is definitely one that has a subject complement, but let's see if C has one too. There is the word guppies, and plants are nouns, and then eat is a verb. So this one doesn't even have an adjective in it, so it's not C. So the only one with a subject complement in it is B. You were right if you said sentence B. Colorful is a subject complement. It describes the noun sunfish, and it comes after were, a being verb. So now for exercise 1, we're finding the adjective used as a subject complement in each sentence. Number 1, the aquarium in my city is big. So there's aquarium, city are your nouns. Here is my being verb, which means my adjective is going to be big. It's telling me what kind of city it is. It's a big city. Or the aquarium is big in his city. So it's actually really describing the aquarium, not really the city. A visit to the aquarium is enjoyable. So visit is a noun, aquarium's noun, is the adjective again, or is the being verb, so that means enjoyable is describing one of the nouns in the sentence. So it's going to be describing the visit to the aquarium. It's an enjoyable visit. Whoops. The area near the shark tank is always quiet. So area, shark tank. There's the being verb. Then we have the word always, and we have quiet. So there's two words behind the being verb. So now we need to look at the nouns in the sentence and decide which one of those words at the end is a describing word. So is always describing something, or is quiet describing something? Which one of those words do you think is going to be the adjective? It's going to be quiet, because we're talking about the area. So the area is quiet. Always is a helping verb. So is and always kind of go together. And then quiet tells us, it describes what's happening in the area. Okay? Number 4, the sand tiger sharks are really scary. So sand tiger sharks is all kind of together as a type of shark. And then we have are, which is a being verb. And then we have two words again at the end. Really scary. So which one of those words describes something? Really or scary? Are the sand sharks really? Can you use that to describe a sand shark, or can you describe a sand shark as scary? So the scary sand tiger sharks. So the adjective is going to be scary because it's telling us what kind of sharks. It really does not tell us about the sharks. Their teeth are sharp. So the word teeth is the noun. Then we have are as our being verb. And sharp is the adjective. So it's telling us what kind of teeth they have. Then it says the next sentence, number 6, their skin is brown. So skin is the noun. Is the being verb. And brown is the adjective. Now, I just want to let you know that for exercise 1, it just tells you to find the adjective. So I'm just trying to show you how you can look for the adjective by finding the nouns and the being verbs and different things in the sentence. But when you do the work tomorrow, you can just underline or circle or highlight the adjective. That's all you really have to do in the workbook tomorrow. So you don't need to underline the nouns and circle the verbs unless you want to. If it helps you, then go ahead, because we've learned about nouns and we've learned about verbs, so you know what all those things are. So if you want to circle and underline them, that's fine, as long as you know which one's the adjective. They are not dangerous to humans, however. Now this one is a little different because the adjective is describing the word they. And they is not a noun, but it's a pronoun. So it's taking the place of a noun, right? So it still counts. But it's not a noun, it's a pronoun in this sentence. So they, and then the verb is are. Then we have not, which is part of that verb. Remember, like, you could put those together as a contraction. It would be aren't. dangerous to humans, however. So then the adjective is going to be dangerous because it's telling us that the tiger sharks, which is they replace the word tiger shark with they, are not dangerous. So dangerous is the adjective describing they. To me, the divers feeding the sharks are extremely brave. So divers is a noun, sharks is a noun, are is a being verb, and then we look after the being verb and we have extremely and brave. Extremely has, hold on, let me start that over again. The divers is what we're talking about. The divers are what? So describe the divers. Are they extremely? The divers are extremely, or the divers brave? So brave tells us what kind of divers they are. So brave is the adjective after the being verb. Now for exercise 2, it says find the adjectives used as a subject complement in each sentence. Tell the noun the subject complement describes. So now they want you to find the nouns. And remember, we had more than one noun in these sentences, but this one was talking about the aquarium, this one's the visit, the area, the tiger sharks, teeth, skin, they, divers. So even though we found more than one noun, only one noun is what the subject complement is talking about, just like in the other sentences. So you can do the same thing where we find all of the nouns, but then you need to pick which one is the one that the adjective goes with. So for number 1, the tank in the center of the aquarium is large. So we have tank and aquarium are both nouns. There's your being verb, which means our adjective is going to be large. But is it talking about the large aquarium or the large tank? So the tank in the center of the aquarium is large. It's not talking about the whole aquarium being large. It's talking specifically about the tank. So tank is the noun in that sentence that the subject complement is describing. Number 2, the view from the staircase is great. Is the being verb, and so the word after is great, which would be the adjective. And is it talking about the view being great or the staircase being great? It's talking about the staircase, or the view from the staircase. So the view is a great view. If you look off the staircase, you have a beautiful view to look at. Number 3, the seahorses in the tank are tiny. So seahorses, tank, are is the being verb, which means tiny is the adjective. And tiny is describing seahorse or tank. Which noun does tiny go with? Tiny goes with seahorses. The stingray's fins are wide. So these kind of go together because right here we have an apostrophe S, which means it's possessive. So the fins belong to the stingray. So they kind of go together as one noun. And then we have the being verb, which is are, and then wide is the adjective, and it's describing the fins. So you can highlight, like if you underline both and keep that together, that's fine. But really they're talking about the fins being wide. But stingray owns the fin, so it's part of the stingray. So if you underline both of them together, that's fine. But really they're talking about the fins being wide. Number 5, The sea turtle is gigantic. So sea turtle is the same thing because it's the name of an animal. Is our being verb, and then gigantic is the adjective, and it is describing the noun, sea turtle. Then for number 6, it's the same thing as stingray, where we have a possessive noun, so the eel's skin. Then we have our being verb, which is, and then green is the adjective that tells us what color, and it's telling us what color the skin is. So if we're being specific, then skin is what the green is describing. But if you keep them both together, that's fine also. The next one says eels are really ugly. So eels is our noun. Are is the being verb. And then really and ugly. Which one of those is the adjective that describes the noun eels? So ugly tells us what the eels look like. So it's describing eels. And eels is the only noun that we have in that sentence. So that must be the noun that the adjective is describing. Our visit to the aquarium was wonderful. So visit is a noun. Aquarium's a noun. Was is our being verb, which means that the adjective is after the being verb, so it must be wonderful. And then if we look at both of our nouns, wonderful is describing the visit. So it's telling us what kind of visit it was. It was a wonderful visit. Number 9, the guide was helpful. Us was under on it. The guide is the adjective, or not the adjective, the being verb. And then helpful tells us what kind of guide he was. So helpful is the adjective, and guide is the only noun in the sentence, so that must be what helpful is describing what kind of guide he was. Then her information was interesting. So information is a noun, her is a pronoun. So I'm not underlining it, but remember there was the one on the last page that was talking about a pronoun. And interesting is the adjective, and it's describing information. So the information that we got was interesting. So that's the noun that you need to mark. If you don't have a highlighter, instead of highlighting the 2 different colors, what you can do is put 1 line under the adjectives and 2 lines under the noun, or whichever way. So make a, like on your homework sheet, so you can be like adjectives is 1 underline, nouns would be 2 lines underneath, kind of like when you're supposed to capitalize something. So I could do her information is the noun, and interesting is the adjective. Okay? Down here, it wants you to write 5 sentences with adjectives used as subject complements. So use a noun from group A and an adjective from group V in each sentence. So I can pick, there's 5 nouns. So aquarium was new. I'm going to put those 2 together. And hopefully I can get a piece of paper. There we go. Number 1. The aquarium was new. So in this sentence, I have aquarium as my noun, so I'll underline it twice. There's my being verb, and there's my adjective. I'll do 2 more sentences. the do shark and scary. So I can say the shark, I'm going to say, is scary. So shark is my noun, so underline it twice. There's my being verb, and scary is my adjective that tells me what kind of shark it is. It's a scary shark. And I'll do one more. And if you want to try any, you can go ahead and do as many sentences as you want. The scuba diver is quick. So scuba diver is the noun, is the being verb, and quick is our adjective. So that is what you need to do for subject complements. So they come after a being verb. So as long as you remember what your being verbs are, you'll be able to find the adjectives afterwards. That's all you have to do for Voyages.